Welcome to Coffee and Conversation. My name is Honorine, and today I'm with Sloan Koester, who just graduated with her master's in international affairs. Congratulations.
Thank you.
She is now working at the Hershey Company, and she will tell us more in a bit. Sloan, thank you for being with me this morning.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with a little introduction.
Perfect. So my name is Sloan Koester. As she just said, I did just graduate in December. I got a job at the Hershey Company and I relocated to Pennsylvania. I live in a small town here called Reading, and I'm originally from Naples, Florida. So being a Florida resident for so long and growing up there, that was one of the things that kind of drew me to Florida State, as the grad programs and things like that going on. But at my time at FSU, I had a great time, like getting to meet all of the different graduate students, being a part of different programs. So I know for like the international affairs stuff, I was a part of the International Affairs Graduate Association, which is a really good way to kind of like make connections with your peers. We always had different activities going on. We could go to like basketball games together, study halls, stuff like that. So I would say that was one of the things that made my experience at FSU really great. Another thing I did during my international affairs program is I studied abroad in France. I went through a program called CEA Study Abroad. And a lot of times when you do study abroad for these programs and do internships, the credits will count towards your degree program. So that is something that a lot of like students can look into, especially for this graduate program. So that's something that I did. I was able to work in like international marketing. I worked with the US market in France. So it was really, really cool. So I love doing that. Another thing that I did get involved in, we have like two different certificate programs. There's like the terrorism and security certificate that you can do. And then there's like an emergency management certificate. I took the emergency management route and I did that certificate. That's something that I would recommend to students. I know when you first start your graduate program, they can kind of come in and talk about what you can do. And that's how I found out about it. But I would say like that's a good summary of some of the stuff I did at FSU, but I really enjoyed the different certificates, programs, and kind of getting to know everyone.
Nice. You did do a lot. And I also saw that you went on an immersion program in Guatemala, right?
Yep, I did that as well. So during December, I spent the whole month in Guatemala. I lived in Antigua, which is like a little city outside of Guatemala City. And I went to a Spanish immersion school there. I had been doing French for a long time, and I felt like I hadn't really looked into other languages. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Guatemala. I'm going to learn some Spanish, and I'm going to go from there. So I did go to Guatemala. It's called Maximo Nivel is like the school I went through, but things like that can also count towards your degree program if you like get the stuff all figured out. But yeah.
And what it seems that you're passionate about languages.
Yeah.
How come you're passionate about languages?
Ever since I was little, I just thought it was so interesting that you could be able to like to communicate with so many different people in different ways. I know when I was growing up, I had a lot of friends that were adopted, and if they did come from China or wherever, like their parents like infused those languages and those cultures within them, so they didn't lose them. And ever since then, I was like, no, I want to learn these languages. Like I want to be able to teach things to people and communicate with everyone. So it's just something that I'm really passionate about. I love being able to communicate with everyone I can. So
Is it something you use for your job?
it's something I'm trying to use for my job. So for the Hershey Company, we're obviously global. We have a team in Canada, so we have like the Quebec team. So there's a lot of French there. So that's one of the pathways that I'm trying to take. We also have a big presence over in like Southeast Asia and everything. Those languages I do not know and I have not started to try yet, but it's something that is on my agenda. So yes.
What would you say is the most useful thing that you learn at FSU that you use in your job daily?
I think the thing that I use the most is definitely kind of teamwork and collaboration. I feel like a lot of the times, like in the classes, especially in the international affairs program at FSU, you really have to collaborate with everyone, and you do like group projects and team bonding kind of things to kind of understand like what's going on in the world. I know for like the seminars, we get to listen to everyone else's ideas, and you learn all these different lenses and theories to kind of look through. And those I use in my job daily. Like, how am I going to accomplish this task? I'm working with this type of person. I'm working with this type of situation. And even though it is international affairs, it really does go into your daily life of how am I going to view this situation. So
I also read on your Grad Impact profile that you published your first book.
yeah.
What is this book about?
So I did publish my first book back in August of this year, and I was super excited to get writing on that. I started actually during my grad program because it was such a heavy writing program. My writing had gotten a lot better, and I felt more comfortable with my writing skills. So I was like, this is the perfect time to write a book. So from there, I did write a book. A lot of it's about like my travels to Guatemala, and it's kind of like a self-inspiration and motivational book. Something I'm passionate about is having people like understand their worth and like being able to accomplish their goals and getting them the resources that they need to get to the next step. So that's what my book was about. And being at FSU really helped because I was around a bunch of people that were also inspiring me to be better, inspiring me to travel. And like, even when I was scared, I've never been to Guatemala and like I really didn't know Spanish, everyone was like, no, like you can do it, you'll be great, like don't worry about it. So just having that, I don't know, community really pushed me to like become my best self. So that's why I wrote my book. So yeah.
That's inspiring. I like that.
Thank you.
And what do you like to do on your spare time? Do you have any passion?
Yeah, so I really like to write, obviously from the book. So I am working on my second book right now, and I write a blog. So I try to do that in my meantime. It's like my like downtime. Like I get to write, woohoo! So I really like to do that. Yeah, it's like my biggest passion and hobby.
What is your blog about?
So my blog, it's about different things. I kind of write from like everyday things going on to like my favorite skincare and hair care products. So it kind of varies the stuff that I write about. But I started it back in 2020, like during the pandemic. And I really wanted people to have like inspiring and like happy content to kind of read, especially during that time. So that's kind of been my inspiration in what I do going forward. I put stuff on there that I've like been learning since I've started a new job, like the hurdles that I've gone through, because I feel like a lot of people go through the same things. They just don't really know it yet. So that is something that I try to all add into the blog. So yeah.
So talking about the hurdles, do you feel like sometimes school does not prepare you for the real world?
I feel like this is a question that a lot of people have asked me actually. And I feel like it does and it doesn't. But I feel like I would be worse off if I didn't have the mindset and the skills that I've learned from school. I feel like school gives me a lot of critical thinking and like lenses to look through that I wouldn't have been able to really find myself. It's a lot of critical thinking and like teamwork. The stuff that I've learned, like real world stuff, is stuff that whether I had done school or not, I wouldn't have known. So the two I feel like don't really go together. So I feel like the stuff that I've learned in school has helped me so much. And without it, I would have been worse off. But the real world stuff I wouldn't have learned anyways until I started whatever job or work. So
And so you said that you're gonna go back to school at some point. Do you think that then you'll stay in academia, especially if you do a PhD, or do you see yourself more in the corporate world?
I think honestly, probably what I will do if I were to guess is stay in business for a while until I feel like I have my own understandings about the business world, probably go back to school, and then I could be like a professor or something and kind of give like my knowledge and understandings to like other people around me and like kind of help those students go up from there. That way I have like the work experience and like the business stuff that I want to be able to teach them and give them, as well as like the academia side of it.
I see. So as a native of Florida, how is it to live in Pennsylvania?
It's very, very different. I didn't think it was going to be so different, but it's a lot colder. There are a lot of mountains where I work, and it has snowed a few times, and the snow for me was completely different. I've seen snow before, but I've never driven in it. So that was my biggest adjustment, I have to say. The snow was huge, so
I
it's
didn't know there
definitely an
were
adjustment.
mountains in Pennsylvania.
I personally didn't really either until I came here and I was driving and I was like, wow, there's a lot of mountains and hills. But yeah, so the whole, I guess, like layout of the land is something to get used to. But I really do enjoy it here. It's nice. It's a good change.
Good. So for my last question, where do you see yourself in 5 years from today?
And 5 years from today, fingers crossed, I really do want to be working in like the marketing side of things for the Hershey Company, preferably like international marketing, either with like our Canada team or something with Southeast Asia. That's something that I really, really do want to get into. I'm really excited about just marketing and like the whole international realm. So in 5 years, I'm hoping that's where I am. So yeah.
So the whole school thing would happen after you transfer to the Canadian team or the South Asian team.
Most likely, I would say so. Or because the position I'm in right now, I'll probably be in it for like 2-ish years. I could do it in between that gap as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Do you think you'll stop working or you'll do both, like many people do?
I think that I'll probably do both. I think it kind of, if I do both and it's too much, I'll probably just do the academics and then go back to work. But I'll probably try to do both. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and I loved our conversation.
Thank you. Me too. So nice of you to have me.